Mr. Wolf's Pancakes. One day, Mr. Wolf was feeling very hungry. He decided to make some pancakes. Yum, yum, he said, licking his lips at the thought of a big pile of fresh, delicious pancakes. Mr. Wolf had never made pancakes before, so he took his big recipe book down from a shelf and looked inside. But wolves can't read very well, and Mr. Wolf had trouble understanding it. So he went to get some help from his neighbors. He called on Chicken Little, who lived next door. "Can you please help me read this?" he asked. "No," said Chicken Little, slamming the door in Mr. Wolf's face. Bang! "Oh dear," sighed Mr. Wolf. He sat down slowly to read the book and worked out what he needed, all by himself. Mr. Wolf looked in his cupboard for all the ingredients, but he couldn't find anything he needed. "I'll go to the store," he said, and settled down to write a list. But wolves aren't very good at writing, so Mr. Wolf called on Wee Willie Winkle. "You are very clever," said Mr. Wolf. "Can you please help me write my shopping list?" "No," said Wee Willie Winkle. "Go away," he slammed his door. Bang! "There's no need to be quite like that," Mr. Wolf said quietly. Mr. Wolf sat down and worked very hard at his writing until he had made his shopping list, all by himself. Now he needs to count his money to make sure he had enough. But wolves aren't very good at counting, so he went to the gingerbread man for help. "Can you help me count my money, please?" he asked politely. "No, I'm too busy to bother with you," said the gingerbread man, slamming his door. Bang! So poor Mr. Wolf had to sit down and count his money. It took him a long time. He had to check it 3 times before it was right, but he did it all by himself. Mr. Wolf needed a basket to carry his groceries, so he called on Little Red Riding Hood. "May I please borrow your basket?" he asked very nicely.
No.
"I'm not lending my basket to you," she said. "Get out of here." So Mr. Wolf set off to the store without a basket. "I'll manage," he said. Mr. Wolf went to the store. He looked at his list, remembered what he needed, counted out his money, and carried the eggs, milk, and flour home, all by himself. Now it's time to make the pancakes, but the wolves aren't very good at cooking. So Mr. Wolf called on the 3 little pigs. "Can you please help me cook my pancakes? I'll share them with you," he said kindly. "Forget about it," chorused the pigs, slamming their doors. Bang, bang, bang! Mr. Wolf felt sad because nobody wanted to help him. Mr. Wolf went home and started to make the pancakes, all by himself. Soon there were a huge pile of delicious pancakes on the table, ready for eating. Now Mr. Wolf had been making his pancakes. A lovely smell had drifted out of the kitchen. All his neighbors could smell it and made them feel very hungry. They wanted some pancakes too. They decided to try their luck. So they knocked on Mr. Wolf's door. "Give us some of your pancakes," said the rude bunch. "Why should I give any to you?" "Not one of you would help me," said Mr. Wolf. "We'll help you eat them," replied Mr. Wolf's neighbors nastily. "Anyway, we're not going away until you give us some." Mr. Wolf thought very hard for a moment. There was only one decent thing to do. "Oh, very well then," he said. "You better come in." Mr. Wolf opened his door wide and whoosh! His greedy neighbors rudely pushed him aside and dashed down the hall. Mr. Wolf shook his head, shrugged his shoulders, and followed them into the kitchen. And when they were all in, Mr. Wolf gobbled them up. Snippity snappy! That was the end of his unhelpful neighbors. Then, with his bulging stomach still not full, Mr. Wolf sat down to eat his pile of pancakes, and he did it all by himself. Well, there was nobody else around. course there wasn't. He ate them all.